Hi, AR Farina. Tony is here with me for where I'm from. 91. We're doing it on Zoom because I've been locked out of Instagram Live again. So
That means
I
you're in the zeitgeist. You're cutting
it,
edge.
it means that I posted a picture of Madonna from the book Sex.
Oh, is
It
that what
was
it was? It wasn't even that you retweeted something Madonna tweeted.
oh, it was just like from You Must Remember This, the podcast that I love very much about film
Oh,
history. And she talked about Madonna this week. So I said, "Oh, this was a great episode." Blocked, breaking community guidelines.
by talking about Madonna. Wow.
Yes, yeah.
They don't
So,
like her fake British accent either.
so it's funny because the book I'm reading is called "Women Writing About Desire, Wanting." So
Nice.
it's on brand for me. And I thought it was really interesting. Just it isn't just about sex, it's about all kinds of things women want for the planet, for their children, for their own selves. It's not just orgasm related, though it is orgasm
So it
related.
is.
Yeah. So what are you reading, Tony?
Well, it's funny. I just last night started. So I just am going to restart it today. It's an arc. I've been reading lots of arcs
Yeah.
lately. So I finished something called A Novel Disguise. It's by Samantha Larson.
Mhm.
It's a Regency mystery where a woman
Mhm.
has to pretend to be her brother. So it's like a love letter to 12th Night. I just finished
Yes.
that. So the next one is going to be called Nothing Special by Nicole Flattery.
Mhm.
And it's about a teenager who ends up in the Warhol's factory.
Oh, okay.
So it should be good. It comes out next week, I think, and I've got the arc for that. So
Oh,
and it was
nice.
perfect timing because I just read Legs McNeil's Please Kill Me, which is about punk, and Warhol shows up a
Okay.
lot there. So it was just like serendipitous. But that's what I'm working on. I'm
You
always reading
read a lot. I read a lot
several
compared
hundred
to,
books a year. Yeah.
but you're on a next level. Like I read a lot compared to regular people. You read a lot, period.
Yeah. We are the world's smallest book club, Lee and I. So yeah, it's just what we do. And I'd say half the books we read are the same,
Mhm.
books, but like she didn't want to read the history of punk from Legs McNeil, but I did. So plus it's going to check a thing on my bingo card.
Oh,
So
you
that
have a
worked out.
bingo card
That worked
for
out
the
great for me
year?
too. Huh?
Do you have a bingo card for the year?
I have a bingo card every few months. I post it on Instagram where I do
Oh,
like every three
yes.
months we make a new
Your
bingo
bingo card.
card.
Hmm.
And so I needed I was writing about musicians biography. And while Legs isn't technically a musician, I mean, he invented punk magazine. So I'm counting that.
You're gonna count them. Okay.
Yeah,
That's what's fun about it. You get to make it up.
I do.
So
Yeah.
you make the rules.
I love what I'm reading every week, though. I got to be honest, because that's always cool. It's like, oh, 1,000. Am I going to read that one? So I like that you start the show with that each week.
It's much better than me just vamping for 30 seconds, which is what I have to do on live. Ugh.
Yeah.
So Tony, do you want to say anything or you just want to launch into it? We got a lot of positive. I don't know if you saw them on Facebook. Everyone loving your childhood picture. It's not just
Oh,
me, it's everyone from Comics in
my childhood
Motion.
picture. Yeah, I saw on Instagram people liking it. I
Mhm.
haven't paid attention as not much on Facebook. Yeah,
There it is. There he is. And so
yeah.
when he sent it to me, I was like, oh my God, so cute. I feel like you're a boy I knew. And
Oh,
I really, the haircut, the shirt. I mean, the shirt probably not quite because I was in California, but
and there's a story behind this shirt which comes up in this. So
okay. So
yeah.
anyway, everyone's loving your childhood pictures.
Well, thank you. That's nice. Yeah, that's kindergarten. I was 5. So
Very
yeah.
cute.
All right, I'm ready. You ready?
Okay, I'm so
Keep it
ready.
short. I'm no Ada or Jess, but I'm going to do my best. Um, I'm from nowhere, so I wandered to Neverland and found myself in Narnia. From a galaxy far, far away, and from flying for Ferris air. I'm from the dirt farm, from feverish cherry tanks and splintery apple crates and tractors being held together by chicken wire. I'm from broken bones and brain damage. I'm from insomnia fueled by words and black and white TV and comedy records. And I'm from please sleep and be quiet. And I'm from long rides in the back of the truck, rolling around, unbuckled and unbound. And I'm from bean bags in the basement with the Beach Boys blasting on my headphones. I'm from murderous patriarchs who don't define me, from Catholic guilt that I couldn't outrun even after quitting that team. I'm from being too sensitive and too quiet and too loud and too in the way and too hidden and too full of too many ideas and unsure what to do now or next or ever.
Yay! I love it when I love it, period. But I also love it when people I know and they write about where they are from and how it informs who they are now, and who they are now as someone I know and care for. And so it's just very gratifying
Hey,
seeing your journey in this poem.
hey.
What was it like for you, Tony?
Well, it was hard because you write it and you rewrite it and you write it and you look at the prompts. I mean, and again, you give us 6 months, but of course, everybody's scrambling in the last 30 seconds. They're like, ah. Um, so it was that. There was a lot of that. It was a lot of writing and rewriting, and it coincided with some other stuff that I'm doing in my therapy sessions. So it's like really good timing that way. But and maybe bad timing. So it was like overlapping a little bit, but it was good. It was you don't want it to be, you don't want it to just be your whole life journey. It is about where I'm from, but obviously, as you said, that informs who you are. So a lot of the things as I wrote it and rewrote, I'm like, well, a lot of these things are who I still am. And that is pretty interesting to me to think, oh, 5-year-old me or 8-year-old me is still, almost 50-year-old me. So it's pretty cool. And you cut things and you add things. And you're like, ooh, and then I was like, ooh, I'll play with some alliteration here and there. Won't that be fun?
Yes, it was fun.
Thanks.
I liked it. So did you want to share your story about the shirt and the
Sure. So this shirt I double checked with my mother. So the reason I'm wearing this very cool shirt, this button down shirt. So this is the late 70s when you see this. So we're almost the same age, Allison. So you're like, you look like somebody I know with that haircut. I'm like, yeah, right. Every boy in 1978 had that haircut. So and the reason I'm wearing this cool shirt and I'm puffed up at the collar like that is because underneath that I'm wearing a brace because I have a broken collarbone. And so that's the broken bones. I broke a lot of bones. I've broken every finger, most of my toes.
Seriously.
Lots of things. But we were out in Maine visiting some friends of the family, and this boy, the son, one of the sons, the oldest son of this family, want to jump up the porch, she says. And he's older than me. And I was like, sure. And so, but I'm getting ready to jump up the porch. She just like shoves me off the porch. And I wasn't ready until I landed and broke my collarbone. And it is a pain that, like, even talking about it makes my fingers tingle. I was 5. I still remember how much it hurt. And he ran off. And so I had to crawl my way up the stairs, and I remember that and pushing the screen door open, like, and then that was it. I don't have the rest of the memory.
And then you blacked out.
Yeah. So, but I was in a lot of pain as a child, and I fractured my skull when I was 8. I had a closed head brain injury, so it's like on the temporal plate right here. I broke it on the farm, the dirt farm, my grandparents' farm, and so I missed most of 3rd grade. I was at home recovering, and so like that's bad. And I've had lots of concussions and stuff. I think 8. So brain damage is my jam. But yeah, so that is why that cool shirt is there, because I was covering up. My parents were like, how are we gonna? Because it's either that or I was gonna have to wear like football pads for my picture. So like, let's put him in this full button down shirt. He's a cowboy.
You do look like a cowboy. You just need the hat.
I've got a cowboy hat. I guess I should put that on.
Yeah, because Cody has a picture similar, and he has the hat because he's in South Texas. So.
Right. Well, his name is Cody. He doesn't have to be from Texas. Isn't that a rule?
It helps.
Yeah, it does.
I was injured around that same age, Tony. Yeah.
What happened?
I was at my cousin's house, and she said, let's go roller skating. And she was a few years older than me. And I just was so excited because I grew up with 4 older brothers. And so I worshiped her because she was a girl. And I truly believed if I had a sister, she would solve all my problems. And so I said, yeah. And they lived in Glendale, and there's some hills there. And we stood at the top of a hill, and she said,
let's go.
You go first. And I was nervous, but probably nobody really knows me from those days, but I was definitely a person that if you dared me to do something, I would do it. So I did. I went first, and I fell on my ass, and I got 3rd-degree burns on my legs from that asphalt, and it was embedded in my legs. And we went back to my aunt's house, and she would have a few drinks all the time. And she laid me on the den couch that's filled with Elvis memorabilia.
Amazing.
and beer on tap. And she put cold cloths on my legs. So I was like, okay. And then when my mom came to pick me up and they got me off the couch, I started screaming bloody murder, and they realized, oh, she's not
It was really
okay.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went to the ER and they toothbrushed out the asphalt with knives.
As they would have to. Yeah, that is what road rash is, kids.
Mhm.
That's a thing. Yeah. Wow. That checks out. I mean, like if there's a hill,
Very
it's got
painful.
wheels. Yeah.
Like, so your story about that, I mean, very painful.
It is. You don't forget it. And like still, there's still like a pucker inside you when you think about that pain. Like I don't like the brain injury, like the other, like
Oh,
I've got a
sorry.
couple of scars here. Those
Yeah.
I remember, but like
Mhm.
and the other concussions I remember as much as you can remember concussions. But like this brain damage, this one, the fractured skull, I
Mhm.
don't remember. Like I remember I was fucked off when I was supposed to be working on the farm on my grandparents' dirt farm. We were, hillbilly dirt farmers from
What does
South
that mean, dirt farm?
dirt farm. We raised fruit and vegetables. We didn't
Okay.
have livestock. So we
Oh,
farmed the dirt.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's
That's
what.
something I could have Googled at any
No,
time
no,
in
it's
my
probably
life.
just a thing that Southwest Michiganders.
But I've heard it a
I don't
lot of
know.
times, actually. And
Oh,
I've
you
always
have.
thought,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
yes, and thought, what does that mean? Because you're
Yes,
not
we
actually
didn't.
farming dirt.
I
Like,
mean, yes.
you're not selling dirt.
We're not selling dirt. We're selling the things that come
Come
from
from the dirt.
So like,
Okay.
yeah. So I was, when I fractured my skull, I was supposed to be packing apples. It was apple season because it was fall, and I was like dinking around outside instead and climbing on the stuff.
Mhm.
And
Because you were
something
8
I was 8,
and
yeah,
you weren't
and
that
something
interested in like labor.
I did all the labor. I mean, we did the labor. Like my
You
grandpa,
did. Well,
he made little ramps. So like we
mhm.
would pack the
Yeah,
truck.
yeah.
Like
I've
I
seen
would
those.
lift the bushels and I had calluses and stuff in my hands. So like I did the work, but it was like a weekend. So school had started. So then you
Mhm.
were only working on the weekends, not all summer long. So you're like, well, this is school all week. And so I really don't want to be working now. So probably Saturday or holiday or whatever. So I'm out dicking around in this piece of chain metal, which was just like
Oh, God.
it's like this, and I stepped
Mhm.
on it and it came back on me. And that's the last thing I remember was
Mhm.
stepping on it. And then
Mhm.
I woke up in the hospital, like, and I asked where my sister was. I thought something happened to her. Like that's
Mhm.
what I thought. But apparently I was awake. They said I was only like unmoving and unconscious for like 3 or 4 minutes. And the foreman of my grandparents' farm, Willie, who was a good friend of mine who saved my life, he saw me in the rearview mirror. No one knew where I was. I didn't make any sounds. He just happened to be watching me. He was driving out to the field and he saw me in the rearview mirror and he was like, what? Shouldn't he be working? So he was just keeping an eye on me as he was driving away. So he saw it happen. So he floored it in reverse and then came running out screaming apparently. And then that was all, somebody else's version of the story because I don't remember it. But so yeah, that was that one. But I didn't, they didn't need surgery there. They don't understand actually how that skull held together because it's a double fracture.
Funny. Where
Crazy.
you're from is injuries.
I am from injuries. Yes. And so like, I don't know if all the lack of sleep and all of that and the ADHD
Is related to that.
I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't really know about that. But like the book stuff, the reason I mentioned all the books and my earliest memory is Star Wars. I was at the drive, like at the original Star Wars. For those of you who are young, you call it A New Hope. We call it Star Wars.
I still call it Star Wars and will always call it Star Wars.
Yeah,
I'm at peace with that. If you don't like it, I'm sorry.
Right. You can call it Episode 4 if you like. We will not. We of a certain age still call it Star Wars. That's how you know. So I was at the drive-in with my cousins. So that was my earliest memory. So that's why that's in there. And then Ferris Air, my first comic book that I bought myself was a Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Well, I grew to love Batman and more importantly Robin. But my first comic was a Green Lantern, and I often say that my friend Heath, whom you've met, that Denny O'Neil raised us. Like Denny O'Neil taught us how to be different from the little town we grew up in. Like because he created John Stewart, the Green Lantern, and he wrote the Hard Traveling Heroes, and he was like using comic books to show you that the world in a way that these other things did too. So I always was just a reader, and I was always, like again, we're from a certain time, Allison, where people did ride around in the back of pickup trucks unbuckled. Like people don't know that that's a thing, but it's a thing.
What's you can in fact see people, well, and dogs, just
a dog.
Like how they didn't just die, I don't know. I'm sure some of them did,
Sure.
but yeah, no, and people would, especially once I moved to Colorado, people just pile in to the like as you get older and you're a
Oh,
teenager,
sure.
you know.
Did you guys in Colorado do the thing in my high school in the winter? One of the fun things was
Oh
truck
no.
surfing, where
No.
you'd hang on the back of the pickup truck.
No.
No, you
I
didn't do
don't
that.
think so. Like,
Like your
I mean,
feet
I
would be
could
on the
just say
ground.
sure, but I don't, yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I mean, we did donuts, obviously. But no, we did not. Um, and is cow tipping a legend?
No, cow tipping is real. I did
Okay.
not cow tip, but it
I
is
never did
definitely.
either, but I felt like people talked about it, but then I heard it's fake.
No,
Did
no,
you
it's
hear
real.
that?
No, no,
Okay.
it's real. Like it's in Heather's. If it's in Heather's, unfortunately, it's real.
Is that
That's part of why that's my one of like if I had to gun to the head favorite movie, I mean that's the movie I've seen the most is Heather's.
and that movie was like so painful for me. I hated it.
Oh
Like when
sure,
I saw it, I was just like, oh God, this is like biographical like movie. I
it's
can't.
horrible. Yeah,
It's just it's so close to true.
it's
Like
totally true.
that
That's what makes it
like it makes
hard.
me uncomfortable even talking about it.
Okay, we don't
And
have to. I'm sorry.
no, no, it's like fine, uncomfortable. But
Yeah,
it's just like, and everyone thought Christian Slater was so hot. And I was like, but he's terrible. But they're all terrible. These people are
everybody's
terrible.
awful.
I don't,
Everybody's terrible.
yeah. And it felt so, oh yeah,
Yeah.
just like a shade away from life.
But I was from the Midwest, so it was like the line that he says in there, which is like, "Oh, come on!" But this cheap, he's like, "I got mineral water." When they're trying to make the quarterback and linebacker curtain ram, they're like going to kill them and make it seem like they're
Mm-hmm,
gay, a gay
mm-hmm,
couple.
mm-hmm.
And so to prove it, they have mineral water, and Veronica says, "Oh, come on! A lot of people drink mineral water. It's gone a long way." And Chris Slater says, "Yeah, but this is Ohio. If you don't have a brewski in your hand, you might as well be wearing a dress." And that checks out. Like 1988, yes, that is the small-minded ridiculousness of like what it meant to be a person to like the genderedness that we still feel today reverberated from that part of the 70s and 80s, like when people would call, and again it's the first day of Pride, happy Pride to you friend, but like you know like people used gay as an insult, like don't be gay, people just said it flippantly. And so that's how they are, like Kurt and Ram are the villains of the piece because of that, you know. So it's like it was just it's was like watching a documentary.
It really was. It really was.
Yeah,
Like there are certain movies that people love that are like were just too uncomfortable for me. And
sure.
that was one of them. I was like, but I know these girls and they're very scary.
They are terrifying. Yeah, and it's just so it's yeah, so it's weird. But anyway, so but I didn't know how to work all that in, so we're just talking about it now.
Yeah, it's fine. That's what the conversation is about.
Yeah,
Where you're from, the poem, your experience writing it. I think it's also interesting what makes the cut and doesn't. Did you feel like you were targeting a specific age? Because it seems like you went a little younger than
I
Heather's.
tried to go younger. I tried to talk to this guy, specifically, but obviously the getting over the Catholic guilt and stuff and the murderous
Yeah.
patriarch. I didn't know about that. Like getting over the Catholic guilt, I got over like 12, but like I quit the team around. Like I didn't get
But it
confirmed.
really hangs on. As a
Oh,
person who is related to many of them, my father and all of my brothers, not me, it is something that it's insidious.
it is. It weighs on you. And I work for Catholics now. I work for Dominican
Right, you
Catholics, which
do.
are different Catholics.
Hmm.
They're so much nicer Catholics too. I like them. Like Sister Helen from Dead Man Walking, she's a Dominican. Like one of
Yeah.
somebody I know knows is a friend of hers. Like
Mhm.
that's different than the other
Mhm.
Catholics. But the murderous patriarch thing, that was a little bit older, but like it also informed the Catholic guilt because so one of my great grandfathers was a contract killer. And
Really?
yes, and the other great grandfather was in the Ku Klux Klan.
Uh-huh. I
And
mean
so
that
Catholicism is at the root of both things. Like one of them was hated Catholics and burned crosses in their front yard, and the other one could kill people because he could go to confession and be absolved because Catholicism allowed him to do that. And so like it's a weird thing. And I'm not like I didn't know about either of those jobs that they had until I was older, but it still
yeah.
informed the
Yeah.
Catholicism and like why the Catholic thing was such a big deal in our family, like on the Italian side of the family, because the contract killer, shocking, sorry, stereotype, was the Italian. And the Irish Protestant was the member of the clan, but then my grandpa, he became Catholic to marry my grandma.
Yep.
And so that was not, it took, I was at his confirmation. I was at my own grandfather's confirmation. It took him that
Oh, wow.
long. So my grandpa, the one in the clan, I never knew him. So he died before I was even born. So it took my grandpa at least 12, 13 years after I was born, his second oldest grandchild. So 40 years, 50 years
Yeah.
after joining the
Yeah.
Catholic Church to officially join the team.
Yeah.
So it's such a weird thing. And both of these patriarchs informed that. So I kept that in, even though I didn't know about them until I was older. And then I'm like, oh, that's what all this
It
is
does
about.
inform. Yeah, it's there. I mean, it's interesting that everyone knew because for me, I was just, I think, talking about this with Paul last week. My family came over from Ireland, my father's mother's. I know nothing. Like, they were just like, we're done now. Like,
Yeah.
whatever happened there, we're not going to talk about it. You know, it's just like complete amnesia. Like, and same with everybody with my dad's side of the family. Like, whatever they came from was not good, clearly.
Yeah.
And nobody ever talked about it. And I am not an amateur genealogist, so I'm not going to find out.
Right.
Although I think it would be fascinating just to know, because it is there. And like, I know someone was a criminal because it's there. And a lot of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, right there. So,
Yeah.
but I guess you just trust your instincts if you don't have the knowledge.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like they were deliberately not telling me stuff, until older, especially my mom, because it was her grandpa who was the clan member. My dad probably thought it was pretty cool that his namesake, they had to share the same first name,
Was an assassin.
because like we glorify the American mafia.
We sure do.
So it's kind of cool, and I'm not. I'm like, I don't know how that doesn't seem pretty cool. But then but the other side, you're like, oh, well, you're in the clan. That's embarrassing. Yes. It's all embarrassing. To me, it's the same. You did this. You're both terrible people.
Well, and I think it's fascinating how much all that, like, I think it's difficult sometimes for people to understand how much like Catholics were hated, Italians were hated, or even like my mom grew up in Wisconsin, how much Polish people and German people didn't like each other. Like, because I mean, we're kind of like this white monolith, which is fine. We suck. I get it. But there was also just this like, it was not nice.
No. And the monolith happened historically because the wasps out there, we're not trying to shit on you, but we're saying like
my mom's side of the family. You can say,
right,
I'm here to represent.
Here to represent. But historically, the wasps were like, oh crap, if we don't bring the Catholics in, we don't bring the Jewish folks in, because they look white enough to beat us. We were mad at them before for being Jewish and Catholic.
But come on over. We need more members.
We need you to join the team. But yeah, for a long time, if you were Jewish or Catholic, you weren't white. Like, you can't get more white than Irish people.
No, it's very interesting just when you start really getting engaged with it, how permeable the borders of white are.
Sure.
Because there's this idea that it's like there is this whiteness. No, there's not. It will continue to change. Yeah. Because the team is shrinking. So the boundaries are going to get more expansive. Yeah. Because people who are interested in teams need numbers.
They do. They need, If they're not interested in teams, they're interested in game.
That's right.
Right.
They're interested in dominance.
Right. Exactly.
Let's keep
a team, you can keep the number small, but if you're interested in a gang, if you're interested in a mob,
Yeah, so
no, it's true, but it's the Catholicism is just one of those things that you wear. You can't, even if whether you're confirmed or not, I wasn't, it doesn't matter. It's there because it's there.
It's very powerful culture. Like, and I see it in them, and I saw it in my dad, especially as he was dying, and his sister is like, we need to get you last rites, you gotta like and then my born again Christian sister-in-law is like, no, we gotta do, and of course I'm just like, pass.
We're like, pass.
I'm
gonna go sit in the corner and read. I'm going to read this book about female orgasms. That'd be fun. I'm sure the priests aren't interested in talking.
Trust me, they're not consulting me ever. No. So, but it was interesting seeing how, and my dad had such a hair shirt mentality. And it was really, I think I wish there was a poem he wrote about where he's from, but I wouldn't know because even he was like, we leave that behind.
Right.
Like we are moving forward into this great future. The past doesn't matter, which makes the past was not good.
Right. Well, and the fact that you guys are from California too, the ultimate land of dreams. You know what I mean? Like it is still today, right now, there's somebody in America, somebody in the rest of the world who thinks just get to California. It's still, and it's not just like Hollywood, it's anywhere. It's California still to this day represents the land of the dreams. And so it makes sense that that's where you guys ended up.
Yes, and especially then, and they migrated here during the Depression, and so it was just like, nope.
So they knew the Jode family. Is that what you're saying? Like they
were friends, actually.
They were friends. Okay, you guys were riding along. They're like, didn't one of the kids just fall off your cart? Where's the grape? What's going on? Yeah, okay.
They didn't make it that far north.
Okay.
So they just stayed in LA. Well, there's San Diego, then LA. But right. It's real. The myth of California is still pretty strong.
Sure. Rightfully so, for a lot of reasons, though. I mean, it's still.
Yes, but you see people like pushing against it, like wanting to tell you it sucks. It's like, okay, that's great. It sucks. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I told you when we first met, I don't love Los Angeles. I didn't care for that, but I get why people love it. I get it. I don't want to. I like to drive. I don't like to sit in my car, and I know that's another stereotype. But my experience in Los Angeles is a lot of sitting around. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to Malibu, where I was staying, nice. No, I was and that was better. I enjoyed that. The person's house was right there, and I could get to the beach, and that was nice.
Yeah,
but getting to that was horrible.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
That's what I always say. As you said, good.
Don't come.
I want to have my seat at the LAFC game. I don't need you to go. Yeah.
So, any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Tony? No, again, what everybody says is true. This is fun. I appreciate you asking. When you asked, we had just met, and and it's funny.
Is that true?
It is. Like it was, like I read Reburn, so I got to know you through your work. And then in the interim, you've got to know me by reading my work, which is cool.
Yes, and congratulations, Tony, on your book, Welcome to Mansfield, which came out Monday. It's available.
It's available. You should get a copy. You should request it at your library too.
It's joyful. Yes.
But yeah, so it was just cool. So it was nice of you to ask, and then as obviously we've done lots of shows together, and just through the Discord, Comics in Motion Gang, and it's just get to know each other has been great. So we've done some other projects. Sonic Salon is still going strong.
Yes.
Right now, it's out today as a show.
Oh, nice.
So Seth is reading one of Kyle's works today. So that's been fun. It's been great to get to know you. But then, like you said, making us write this and thinking about ourselves. So going back through and watching all of your Where I'm From is very cool, because people I don't know, some people I know, like Bria and Jess and Paul, I'm like, oh, I know them, and then other times you're like, I don't know this person, but you really get a sense of them. So it's a great project, and I'm glad that you're doing it. Thanks for letting me be part of it.
I thank you for being a part of it. It's my joy. I love it.
Good.
I look forward to it. Yes, I am. Okay. Well, thank you, Tony. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye. I always say bye. I guess that's not cool, but I do it anyway. So
yeah, bye. It's fine. I don't think bye.